In today's video, we are doing a little bit more Christmas to wrap up Christmas in July. These budget-friendly Christmas crafts are so fun. I have been busy crafting my stash, so you know it's done on a budget. I hope that you enjoy what I have for you today. Let's get started. This sign, I believe, yeah, it's from the Dollar Tree. It looks like maybe Easter. And I'm just going to take off the tag and we're going to take off the twine. I love these from the Dollar Tree. They have this little it's like a shoelace end almost, a little plastic piece. Makes it easy to get it in and out. But I'm going to save that, but you could always just put your own hanger on it. And you have seen me many times take off the paper of these signs by spraying them with water and letting a wet paper towel sit on them, and you scrape them and you sand them. But I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to just cover it up, but it is covered in glitter, so I am going to just sand that down, and then we're going to go ahead and cover the back. Well, cover the front to make it the back. I'm going to do that by just placing a good coat of Mod Podge onto our sign. We're going to do the iron-on method. I like to use the craft paper, and I just didn't want it to get all wrinkly, so we're going to put on a good coat of Mod Podge and then lay our craft paper down. And then with a piece of parchment paper in between, we're going to use my mini heat press. You can also use a household iron. Just don't need super high heat. Don't want steam. And I actually did apply the paper before the Mod Podge was fully dry, but the iron still got all of my wrinkles. And once all of that was done, I used my sanding block or finger sander here to sand off the excess. And to make that a little bit easier, I just kind of snipped in with some scissors around any curves or crevices, and that made the sanding process a lot easier. I'm going to repoke the holes because we are going to need them again. You can use a wooden skewer. I'm just using a little metal hook from the Dollar Tree. It's like a Cricut tool type thing, vinyl tool type thing. And then I do like to go over it one more time with the iron after I've been messing with it just to make sure everything is down good. And now we're going to go ahead and start on what was the back and is now the front. I'm going to give this a couple coats of this white chalk paint. I am using the one from Dollar General. I've shared that with you in my recent videos. It's not the best chalk paint, but I have it, so I'm using it. So sometimes I just need a couple extra coats. Now with the MDF material or this pressed particle board, whatever it is, I believe it's MDF. Anyway, it absorbs the paint very quickly. So it's a little bit splotchy, but I went over it a couple times, and I also was kind of going for like the not even look. But spraying it with a little bit of water can kind of help move the paint around as well. I pulled out from my stash some old window clings. I don't know when these are from. I'm pretty sure they're from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted to use them up. I think they're really cute, and I've been saving them to make a sign, and this was the time for it to happen. So I am just going to use the rest of them, and it's like a little Christmas tree farm, and I'm going to figure out my placement first, and then we're going to go ahead and cover everything with Mod Podge. Well, we're going to put it all down with Mod Podge. So I'm going to Mod Podge underneath the window clings and again on top, and just getting them into the position that I like them. I hope that you've enjoyed Christmas in July. I tried to do a balance of some Christmas and some non-seasonal for July because I know not everyone's into it, but a lot of people are. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my future videos. The rest of my window clings fit on here really well without me really having to cram it. I just trimmed off the end of that little sign there, put a little bit more Mod Podge, and then I let that dry completely. And now I am dry brushing with a chippy brush, a combination of a couple of gray colors, a light gray and a dark gray, and just kind of mixing it here. And what I'm trying to do here, I know this is really sped up, but that's because you don't need to see all of that, but I'm trying to blend in the edges of the window clings. If that doesn't bother you, maybe you can skip this altogether. But I do in general like the weathered look. So that's what I'm doing here. Now I did find that it was a little too heavy on my window clings, and I was able to just spray some water on a paper towel and wipe back the paint on the window clings so that they weren't too muddied up. But I guess I could have, well, I couldn't have, I don't know. I guess I could have done the additional painting before I Mod Podged them on, but I didn't. This is what I did. And then I'm just going to put the hanger back on, and you could add in some embellishments if you wanted. I did not, but I love how this came out. Let me know what you guys think, and do you have any window clings in your stash that maybe you can make a sign for or a sign with? I think it's a great option,
if you don't have like a Cricut or Chalk Couture or some of those other things where you can get some beautiful prints and designs, I think this is a great option. Let me know what you guys think down below. For this next one, I'm using some jute cord and a couple of red plastic cups. I have this big spool of jute that I picked up from a thrift store, but it was brand new from Hobby Lobby, all in the packaging, but I got it for like $6. We're going to just cut some holes in the top of our cups, and I just used small pointy scissors and made a little hole. And I'm going to just show you one of these, and I am going to speed it up because there is a lot, well, because it took me a while, but I'm going to show you what I did. So we're going to make little bells if you haven't figured that out. Actually, these are pretty big bells. So I started by doubling up some jute, feeding it down the center. And before I tied a knot in what's going to be the hanger for the bell, I also fed in through that knot a thinner piece of twine. And we're just going to leave that hanging for now. And I did put a little bit of glue on the knot so that it wouldn't come unraveled, and pulled that up to the top. So now we have the hanger for our bell. And I have this other spool of jute that I got from my mom. But you can get this kind of, all different kinds from Hobby Lobby. You don't necessarily need to use 2 different kinds, but I had 2 different kinds, so that's what I did. And we are going to wrap the cup with this jute. So a couple little tips that I would suggest if you do this, and I do recommend doing this because I absolutely love how these came out. My glue gun has 2 different temps, and I should have put it to low. Obviously, hot glue on a plastic cup is going to warp the cup. It doesn't matter. You can't tell. The jute is so thick, it doesn't matter. But it would have probably been a little bit easier. You could use another glue, but you really do. I think the hot glue worked good because it sets pretty quickly. And then the other thing is, as you're putting it on, you really want to hold it good and let the glue set a little bit before you move on, because you want to make sure that the jute, really stays tight. And as I got going on the sides here, it's a little bit easier. And I made sure to put some glue on the bottom side of the previous row of jute, not just on the cup. So I hope that that's making sense. If you are concerned about seeing the cup through it, you can give it a coat of paint, but honestly, you couldn't see it at all. Also, if you have a large paper cup, that would work too. You wouldn't have to worry about the plastic. And then when I got to the bottom, I'm just being really careful because I wanted to cover up that white lip of the cup completely. So I just kind of had to take my time. I know you can't see it because I sped this way up because it took a while, but it wasn't hard. Now when ending it, it's kind of hard to disguise the end of the wrapping of the jute altogether, but cutting it at a little angle, I feel like does help a little bit. So that's what we're going to do, finish that up. And you guys, these actually came out pretty heavy. I didn't really think about that, but I guess it makes sense, but they were pretty weighty when all was said and done. So now I have a couple of bells. Pretty sure I got these, well, either from Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby. And I just wanted to make them look rustic because it just made sense with the jute bells. So I'm just using some antique wax, doing one side and then letting it dry so I can flip it over and do the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going for rustic, You can also do the cinnamon and Mod Podge to make them look rusty, but I was just kind of making them look old, and this did the trick. These are going to be the little dingers in our bells. And once this was all done, I did give them a coat of Mod Podge. I just felt like anytime I put anything on metal, especially it's antique wax. I think of it so much as a stain, but it is a wax. And so I didn't want it to come off of the bells. So we gave those a coat of Mod Podge just to seal it in really good. Now with my bell, I would have preferred to have done this with a lighter, but I didn't have one up in my craft room and I just wanted to keep moving. So I'm using my heat gun to try to burn off or melt away any hot glue strings. Now, I don't know if this was necessary because it depends on where you hang your bells, if you'll be able to see the inside. But I didn't want to be able to see in your face, this is a cup. So I am painting the inside with just some beigey, grayish paint that I had in my stash. I didn't do a perfect coat because it didn't feel like it mattered that much, but I didn't want there to be a stark color if you did get to see the other underside. So once that was dry, we're going to take the little piece that we thread through the knot at the bottom of the hanger portion so that we could tie on our bell. And I am just going to, this was a little tricky to show you guys what I was doing, But I was trying to see the length that I wanted the bell at because I didn't want it hanging down way below where you could see the jute, but I also wanted you to be able to see the bell. So I just messed with it, held it tight, and gave it a double knot. I wasn't sure how to attach the little dinger here. I've seen different people, like different images of the jute bells, but I've not actually seen a video of someone doing them. So I did go to one site where I saw someone explain that part. So I will link that for you if I can find it again. Sometimes I don't know where I found things. Anyway, I thought this was a good idea of how to get the bell on there. And just put a little dab of hot glue where I double knotted the jute onto the bell because I didn't want that to come off because I had no more jute to work with. I left the string a little bit longer in the beginning because I wanted it to be easy to tie it, but I thought if this breaks, I'm in trouble. Then I wanted to embellish my bells. I first wasn't sure. I thought about using these garland ties, but I ended up just going with these leaves and berries. These came from Hobby Lobby. They're in like the table setting area of Hobby Lobby. So and I don't know for sure that they have them this year. I imagine they probably do, but I haven't looked yet. But it's like table scatter, and these are great for crafting. So I'm just using some hot glue to attach the leaves and the berries, and this is again where you really need to hold down those berries until the glue sets so that the glue is like really pressed into there. And then as I was doing this, I was realizing I need to hold up the handle while I am attaching this because if I don't, I might press in the berries and the leaves and the hot glue in a way that has my hanger at an angle, and then it wouldn't look good being hung. So just another thing to keep in mind. And I did go ahead and make 2 of these, but I didn't share all of that with you because that seems redundant. I absolutely adore how these came out. Now, this is not how I would style them. I will probably attach them together, maybe hanging at the end of my fireplace, like on some garland or something. I'm not sure, but I wanted you to be able to get a good look at them and how, the general appearance of them. I think these are super fun. Let me know, is this something that you think you will try this Christmas season? I happen to have everything already on hand, so it was a fun one to do. All right, so for this next one, I have this picture frame. This is from the Dollar Tree. I love these like faux wood frames. But we're going to start by just cleaning the glass with some rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to move through this part really quick because this DIY I went on a journey with it. So I have seen where you can supposedly take some glue or Mod Podge and like kind of make the glass look like frosted or like a little foggy. And I tried that. I have this white school glue. I don't know if it was because it was old or what, but I did a couple coats of it. And well, I'm going to show you that in a second. Just a real little tip here. On the back side, if you get any glue, mine had also stuck to the paper towel. I was able to clean that off with some rubbing alcohol. So I do recommend doing it like this, where it's like on top of some bottles of paint, and that just helped keep it elevated. I did 2 coats of the glue, and I was like, this is going to take forever to get that look that I'm looking for. So then I went in with some Mod Podge, and I was like, this is still not great. So I just decided to paint it. I am going to try this again. I'm thinking maybe mixing Mod Podge with some white paint would give the look that I was going for. But I end up just giving this a coat of white paint. So you can paint the glass. You could just put a piece of scrapbook paper, whatever you wanted. And after I was done painting it, I did also seal it in with Mod Podge because I didn't want it to get chipped off because that's actually going to be the back of the frame. And then on the frame itself, we're going to give this a coat of white paint. And it's a thin coat. I could have done a second coat if I wanted, but we're going to actually add something else onto it. Once that was all done, I decided to go in with some gold paint. And I started out with not too much because I wasn't sure how much I wanted, like how gold I wanted it to be. But I built on it until I got the look I wanted. But I do think that painting it white first was helpful to really help that gold shine. If you are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Liking the video, it's such an easy way to help me out. It lets me know that you're enjoying it, and it lets YouTube know that you're enjoying it. And then they're like, someone else might like this, so let's go ahead and show it to them. So give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it. We're going to clean off the back of the glass that has no paint on it because that's going to be the front. I have these gold transfers, letter transfers from Dollar Tree. I think my mom maybe gave them to me. I've used gold transfers from Dollar Tree before that I did not like. I was skeptical about these. and I messed up right from the beginning. So I'm not going to show you all of this, but I do want to just explain if you have these, I actually think they look beautiful. However, they attach so easily. I had to turn a Q into an O here. They attach very, very easily because they just stick immediately. I mean, I just could use my finger to basically stick it on and pull it off, and it was transferred. So you don't have a lot of wiggle room. If you accidentally touch it onto your finger or onto the glass, it's a goner. So for that reason, this ended up not working out. I was going to put, for unto us, a child is born, and I was really excited about it. Here's how it looked. I didn't have things centered right. You could see it was a mess. So I used some rubbing alcohol, took it all off, and now I just have this plain glass to work with. I took out some wood letters, and we're going to paint them with that same gold. And I decided to do the word Noel. And like you've seen on a lot of words, a lot of signs with the word home, where it's like HO at the top, ME at the bottom, in like a square or rectangle, whatever. I decided to do that with Noel. So NO on the top, EL on the bottom. And I was really happy with how this came out. But I just wanted to take you on the journey and explain in case you have like those rub-on transfers as well. But let me know what you guys think. I thought about adding some embellishments, but just the white and gold alone, I kind of liked that. Actually, I really liked that. So let me know what you guys think. I love the gold on that textured frame as well. But yeah, that is how this one ended up coming out in the end. I don't know about you, but I have a bunch of these wood pieces from the Dollar Tree, and you can still buy these at the Dollar Tree now. I'm going to start by painting this with that really thin chalk paint from Dollar General, which sometimes is nice because it gets a little of the wood grain coming through. So the fact that it's a thinner paint worked out just fine for this one. If you are enjoying this video and want to help me out, leave me a comment, leave me an emoji, tell me which one's your favorite, tell me if you're crafting for Christmas. Any of that interaction helps out my channel, but I also love to hear from you. So just wanted to throw that out there. Now, I'm also, what I'm applying now is Mod Podge. We're going to do the iron-on method with some tissue paper. I have this tissue paper from the Dollar Tree, and I love it. I've used it for a couple years now on many projects and ornaments and all sorts of things. Laying that down with some parchment paper and an iron with no steam. I'm using a mini heat press, and this will magically adhere to the wood piece. You could also use a napkin, whatever you have. But I'm going to use my little finger sander to get this off. Now this, of course, has all of these breaks in it, so I gotta get in between like all of the little grooves on this little palette sign. But starting off, we're just gonna sand off the edges. You do not need a high grit, or I never remember the numbers on the grits, but you don't need you can use a fine grit sandpaper for that. And then I'm just using my little pokey tool, anything I had to kind of break up in between the grooves, and then I'm going in with my finger sander to sand off the excess in between. So took a little bit of maneuvering, but I was able to do it. And then at some point I was like, this is going to be easier if I just take the sandpaper off of the finger sander and go in that way. And I did, and I got off all of the excess tissue paper. And then I have this little wood snowflake from the Dollar Tree. It's like an ornament. It does have a hole in the top, which I didn't fill in. You can do that if you want, but we're going to cover it up. I'm going to give this a quick coat of white paint. I don't need the most intense covering because we're going to go in with some Mod Podge. And I'm using some faux snow. I think it's faux snow mixed with Epsom salt that I had left over from, previous years, I guess. But I'm going to apply a good amount of Mod Podge and then pour this on. And then I press it in and I let it dry for a little bit, but it wasn't like intense enough for me. So yeah, we're going to then pull out my crafting hairspray. This is hairspray that I use whenever I have a glittery piece, like a glittery tree or something like that, and I want to keep the glitter on it, but I don't want it going everywhere. I spray it with some hairspray. So first I was going to spray it with some hairspray to seal it in, and I was like, but I want more of the snowy look. So this is what I did. I hairsprayed, added some more. Once it was all done, I gave it a final coat of hairspray and let it seal or let it dry. Because I didn't think I could use more Mod Podge on it. I feel like it would just kept pulling it off. So that's what I came up with. And then we're just going to hot glue this to the center, and this is just going to make an adorable little shelf sitter. Let me know what you guys think of this piece. This tissue paper, I don't know if it's going to be available again this year, but find yourself some pretty tissue paper and make some beautiful things with it. I love it. This one is like my favorite. But yeah, super fun and easy, cute little filler piece for your shelves.
I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell, hit the thumbs up button, do all the things. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Maybe you could include a Christmas tree in your comments so that I know that you made it all the way to the end. I so appreciate you. And don't forget, you can find me over on Facebook now, still building up that page, but it is Simply Enjoying Crafting. So easy to remember. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.